Guys, welcome back to the channel. Chad with Advising Men. Advising Men is a channel where we work on relationships with your girlfriend, your wife, so relationships with women, teach you to fight better. We're going to be putting out technique videos, self-defense videos, situation awareness videos, things like that. And we also work on finding your purpose and living the life you're supposed to live. So part of what we do is on the fighting side, the self-defense side, I really enjoy breaking down videos and breaking down upcoming fights and things like that. So it looks like this weekend we got Jake Paul, YouTube star, and Ben Askren. They're going to go at it. And there's a lot to say about this fight. There's a lot to think about. You've got a young guy that's training hard, that's done a little bit of boxing, had a little bit of a success in boxing. Obviously has a huge ego. That's obvious just by watching, the way that he carries himself. And, when I watched the press conference, I was like, are you kidding me? Come on, dude. Not professional at all. Obviously not a mature guy, but he does what he does. And then you got Ben Askren, who, good Lord, the guy's done almost everything. Been a champion in almost everything. Four different organizations or four different sports or something. He's been in the top 10. I mean, the guy's a monster. So my Ben Askren story, years and years and years ago, he was either still wrestling at Missouri or he just graduated. And there was a guy named Wade Rome, who's a American Top Team guy, and he had a school in Columbia, Missouri. And so me and some buddies who trained at the time, we were doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, Wade was like, hey, come on down, and check out the school and visit. So we went down there to visit, and we worked out and everything. Super good guys. Wade's, obviously a monster grappler himself. And but Ben wasn't there. And I think at that time, Tyrone Woodoo was training with him too. So those guys weren't there that night. And I was like, man, that'd be cool if I could, roll with them and feel that pressure and everything. But, not like I'm saying I was going to win or anything, because, man, those guys were really good. At the time, I was like a blue belt. We were just trying to do what we could, with no black belts or anything in Kansas City, no high level training or anything. So it was a good time in life. We had a lot of good laughs back then. So, but yeah, so, he is a Missouri guy, and I'm kind of like, well, we got to root for him. But if you break down the fight, I mean, it's like, I watched Jake Paul's, his boxing matches. I watched a little bit of training, and I mean, when the bag's not hitting back or the mitts aren't hitting back, I don't really put a lot of stock in that. As long as your technique's good, your body's moving right, and you're snapping stuff, then, you got your stuff down. That's fine, no problem. But then you got Ben Askren, who is not a boxer. As a matter of fact, I saw one video, and he must have been, I don't know if he was trolling or what, but there was one video, he was punching so slow, I was like, man, he's not known for his boxing, but that's horrible. But, then I saw some other videos, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, he's popping, he's doing what he needs to be doing. But either way, not known for his stand-up at all, never has been, and he even says he's never been known for his stand-up. He's a wrestler. He's a grappler. He's going to grab you, throw you in the ground, and maul you. That's his game. So to take that away from him is a huge deal, where it's like, okay, well, if he can't grapple and all he can do is box, is he going to be able to do it? And then you go over to this guy, and, Jake Paul is like, all I want to do is box. I'm going to be a boxer, blah, blah, blah. His brother's doing the same thing and all that. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I would stick with YouTube, because boxing and fighting, hats off to him for doing it. But, get it while you can, enjoy it while you can, because it doesn't last forever. So, you look at these things and like, Ben Askren had hip surgery. He was recovering from that. He's got to train, he's got to train around that. He's got to train around the rehabilitation of that. That's a big deal too. So you've got questions on both sides. You've got the stand-up question on the Askren side. You've got the age question on the Askren side. You've got the immaturity on the Jake Paul side. The lack of experience. The guys he fought, come on, man. It was like zero skill. Let me just fall into your punches. There was no really no challenge. It seemed like zero challenge at all. So when I look at this and I measure everything as a fight fan, as a fighter, as a guy that trains, all that stuff, I look at this and I go, okay, what's it going to come down to? Is it going to come down to boxing technique? Because boxing technique can win. Is it going to come down to boxing technique? Is it going to come down to toughness? Is it going to come down to just grit and, who can hang in there the longest? Who can take the most punishment? What's it going to come down to? Because fights always come down to something. There's always a reason somebody wins a fight. They're either technically better, they were tougher, they were meaner, whatever it is. There's always reasons people win fights. And so I look at this and I'm like, part of me is saying, Jake Paul could get the win, but we're using 16-ounce gloves. And you can go back and look at some fights that Ben Askren's had in 4-ounce gloves where he's just getting pounded on and he's still moving. He's still moving forward. He's not getting knocked out. The one knockout that Ben Askren has suffered, if you don't think you would have gotten knocked out with that knee too, you're delusional. At the force that knee came through and Ben's weight was moving forward, if I'd have took that knee, I'd have been out too. That's just all there is to it. That knee would knock out, if not everybody, the majority of everybody. So I don't even really count that. I just sit here and go, okay, for me, what it comes down to is you've got a guy that's a young guy wanting to be a boxer, wanting to obviously improve his YouTube fame and all that stuff. Great, good for him. But he's picked a guy that he thinks is the best chance for him to beat. That's all there is to it. Jake Paul thinks that Ben Askren was the best guy for him to pick because Ben's got a pedigree. He's been in MMA. He's been a champion, one champion, a Bellator champion. He's been in UFC and had hard fights there. So he's got credentials. He's got a list, a pedigree a mile long. So, Jake's thinking, okay, well, if I can beat this guy, then that shoots me up the scale of credibility quick. So if Jake was to win, what I see is he shoots up the scale of credibility. But then at that point, when you get that high up, you got to prove it. And then all of a sudden, he's going to have real guys coming in, real strikers coming in saying, I'll fight you from the MMA side. He won't be picking, he won't be able to pick some guy that, whatever, unless he's going to just stick with the whole, get a basketball player, movie star, or whatever kind of deal. But if he actually beats Ben, it's more than likely going to be a hard fight. But if he beats him and goes up the rung, he's going to have to fight somebody that's real solid on striking. And that may be where he goes, oh crap. But in Ben, you've got toughness, you've got grit, you've got world champion, you've got multiple time champion, you've got top 10 in 4 different sports. You've got a guy that has done it for so long that what Jake is trying to develop in training and trying to develop in sparring, Ben has developed since a very young age. It's been developed. He's been mature that entire time. And so what I find a lot is, like, for instance, in jiu-jitsu, when we're rolling, when I go to class and stuff, I see young guys that train all the time. Every day they're there 2 times a day, whatever they can get. They train because they're in college and they don't, they have a couple classes a day and it's their time to do the train every second of the day kind of deal. And they progress quickly. But you have a guy that's done it for a long time and he's got a lot of maturity and can see a lot of stuff just because of experience. And that guy is still always beating them. And it's just because they've learned some techniques, but those techniques aren't ingrained in them to where they're so natural for them that it's almost like it's just mechanical. It just comes out, grab here, go here, whatever, punch here. It's all just totally natural. So it's like you've got a champion in Ben and a guy that wants to be a champion somehow, whatever that is, in Jake Paul. So when I look at this fight, if I'm going to give a prediction, when I look at this fight, I say inexperienced, 16-ounce gloves, and multiple rounds. More rounds than MMA. So Ben's going to have more time. And then I go over to Ben's side and world champion, tons and tons and tons and tons of experience in all kinds of fighting. Knows how to work a ring, extremely important. Knows how to work a ring in a cage. Knows how to corner people. Knows how to maul people in dirty box. He's been doing that for years. So I sit here and go, okay, if I'm going to look at this, and really, really make a decision on it, I'm going to say that Ben Askren is going to win because of experience and because of grit and toughness. Ben Askren's a competitor. He's coming to compete in a fight, in a match. He's been there over and over and over again. Jake Paul is coming with all of his 20 guys or however many guys they'll be following him around like a puppy dog with cameras in his face the whole time, trying to make more YouTube videos and win a fight while he's there. It gets to a point where you might want to pick guys that aren't quite as tough. So we'll see. It's this weekend and, good luck to Ben. I hope he wins it. And, obviously everybody wants him to knock Jake Paul out. Kudos to Jake for doing what he's doing. But I think he's starting to dip his toe in the water of real fighters. And as he dips that toe deeper in the water, he's going to find out that the deeper it gets in that water, only the big sharks swim in the deep water. And once he starts wading out there, all he's going to get is the big sharks. We'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks.